Yeah, I think with Clubhouse, you're speaking very much so correct about that one. We saw them with that 7-4 result against Vitality last week, again showing that not so much dominance, but definitely the capability to fight back against the big dogs. But it was on this map back in Season 1 when they went 7-1 against Supremacy, so it's no stranger to Supremacy either. And that's where the concern comes in, is that although, sure, it might play into PAC's favour, it's also the same kind of story for Supremacy.
So we head into the banning phase for Supremacy and PACT. Already, PACT, quite an interesting one. Blackbeard being banned. Don't really know how I feel about that, because now you've less an operator like Maverick available. And a map like Clubhouse, where that is literally Maverick's playground and what he can do with
Yes.
the reinforcing walls, I don't really agree with that. Supremacy doesn't really strike me as a team who plays Blackbeard a whole lot as well, and Blackbeard really isn't even that good in this map. The only map I see Blackbeard ever do well on is a map like Consulate, because that plays a lot into your window style of play. And I'm also seeing Thatcher ban. This is
Okay.
more of an NA thing. It's not really an EU thing. We're seeing Thatcher bans deliberately because they want to try and go for the Bandit and the Mutrix. But Maverick's available, so I don't really get that.
I'm the Blackbeard was perplexing. The Thatcher a little more so. You normally see something like a Thermite getting taken away here.
Yeah, a
But
hard breacher is kind of the norm.
yeah, it's weird because they can roll out with it so much. But the one thing it does make it harder to get through those walls. So you will be looking towards a Maverick potentially getting picked up at some point. Not going to come out in the first round, but we are going to see the IQ getting deployed here. My biggest question is, can they make sure that they're in a spot to get rid of those gadgets protecting either of those walls? Because we will see, I imagine, as we go towards CCTV and Cash, a lot of play around that eastern wall.
Another thing as well to keep in mind from looking at the operator selection, we're not even seeing Maverick being chosen.
No.
What's happening? What is this?
Like, this is what I'm like. I don't know. The Thermite would have made more sense as a ban, like I said already. Having the double hard breach is nice, but the concern comes in that you don't really have anything to get rid of again the reinforce while the gadgets coming out on those walls. Yes, you've got the IQ to know that it's there, but how are you actually going to remove it in the first place without that Maverick there to get some holes open and actually get the gadget shot out?
Right, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They have brung both hard breachers, so technically they can put one Thermite charge on one side of the wall and then the X-Kairos is on the other. Either way, the wall will be opened. It's just down to Bandit what one he gets rid of. Is it going to be the Thermite charge or the X-Kairos' pellets? Doesn't matter, it's going to get opened either way. Then you also give them the credit. They've brought two soft breach. Ash can go in below, can Ash below the Bandit. That's not an issue. We see that in regular play whenever Maverick is banned. But whenever Maverick is available, it just means you have to do less work to get this. If you want to try and Ash, first of all, you're wasting utility with your Ash launcher. You also put yourself at a risk in getting peeked from numerous angles in towards that mid floor. I don't know. It just seems too much effort for really what you're getting out of it.
Well, let's see what they can do. You spoke about Alive and his Ash play earlier on. First one through the doors, no doubt as well. Quite a quick rush coming through actually here as well in the opening 30 seconds. Not really wanting to take it too slow. Instead, just try and find out who it is that's lurking around. They got the right idea. But we'll find at least initial take coming through here straight into Lounge is actually quite smart, because from here they can look upstairs. They can be using that IQ to be getting rid of those gadgets that are sat upstairs on either site. Now they got rid of a couple of those. That's when you can start seeing alternative push points coming in. So I like the aggression being shown, the immediate knowing exactly what they wanted to do. Fortunately, not getting picked off by anyone lurking around downstairs. So a very defensive start, I suppose you could say, at the very least, coming out from PACT.
Dejus will start to try and push in aggressively by himself. Dejus has kind of been that lone wolf operator. He has a good operator to do that with as well. You know, Sophia has the possibility of using those breaching charges, but will be supported by Habana in this scenario. However, shots rattle back and forth, and well, K6 will win that gunfight against Optic. Nathan has a refrag on the Tactus, but Alive is straight there to get it back in favor for Supremacy. Bit of damage done to Dejus and K6 alike, but still, they have the control. They have both hard breachers still available for themselves, and Bandit is gone as well, so they could go for the options of opening in towards that A bomb site. That construction is a wall which we see open now and again. Not a big high-value target for a lot of teams, but whenever there is an option of opening it up, you kind of want to go for it. A team like End are quite good at going for those construction pushes. It forces the defenders into an awkward position where they can only really play inside of that back staircase. Not a position you want to be in, because you're very potent to any kind of frag grenades or any kind of utility. As we head into the 45-second mark, and Dejus will get into a 4v2 and find that Smoke, who was lurking ready up close and personal with a shotgun. And this is going to be a lot of work for Darius and Deep.
It's a lot of work to do when you're sat in a 4 versus 2, but already down to 30 seconds. It felt like the first only 30 seconds was so in their favor. A great little angle there. Catches Tejas out as well. Those are still holding on strong. They've got the Legion. They've got the Echo. Two of the ones that you want left in this dying stage. Find out Poseidon as well. This could be a great spot for PACT to actually find themselves with a round here as well, forcing it into 20 seconds. As we all know, this is when mistakes start getting made by the attacking side as time becomes their enemy, not the team that are actually defending the points itself. But let's see what they can make happen. You know, they're sitting aside PACT. In fact, they're actually about to find themselves around here as well into the final 1 versus 1. It's Darius coming up against K6. Who's going to win away this one, though? It's going to be PACT, and they take the first round against Supremacy.
Well, PACT somehow in some universe they've managed to pull off a 2 versus 4 on Clubhouse as well. A bomb site which has so many angles you have to watch as defender. Well, somehow they've managed to make work of it. And Supremacy just not having that final execution. I think they got a little bit carried away with trying to win those 1v1 gunfights rather than sticking with the refrags, the retrades, which I think they did very well in that opening segment of the round. But anywho, we move on to our second defense, and well, quite interesting for PACT. They're not going to opt for that downstairs basement, which is more of the norm, we would say. It's certainly a bomb site which has its advantages in terms of the turtle playstyle you can have, and PACT are very strong at that playstyle. But instead, they're going to go for the more third-picked bomb site, which is gym and bedroom. I like what they're going with this. They're trying to, I think, feel out Supremacy and what kind of operators they're bringing. Supremacy, they haven't changed anything since the last round.
Look at Darius.
Yeah, 4 kills already.
Great round coming out of him. Yeah, power of the Legion, man. What can I say? As Goon Mines can do enough sometimes. Other times, it's a case just getting that gun out and bringing them down. Just more than enough. But I like the way that they tried to play this. Almost feels like a bit of a bait. That they said, okay, guys, well, are we really going to go here, or are we going to 6-pick away this castle? It just leaves Supremacy with a little bit of a guessing game to go with. Of course, they're fully aware by now, I imagine, that there is that castle on the field. They know exactly where they're playing. They know what they've got to do to be able to get into this one. And you mentioned yourself, it's one of those, it's a very interesting point to assault, because you can either go towards looking on towards the west wall itself and get that open. You can look towards Garage, into CCTV and Cash and try and push it from there. You normally send at least one person looking up red stairs as well, just to make sure you have some presence there in case someone's trying to rotate. But it's more a question, if you do have several angles of attack that you can look for as an attacker, you aren't just pinned to going for one or two ways, like we often see on CCTV and Cash, where it's always going to be Garage or it's always going to be that east wall.
Again, apologies for everyone at the moment. We are experiencing some technical difficulties with our sound management, and so we will try and get that fixed ASAP. But for the meantime, Des, should we try and make some noises to fill the time?
I think you're making plenty of noise, mate, and it's like music to my ears. The dulcet tones are filling my ear holes right now. It's fantastic.
We do some bang, bang, bang. Is that a good one? Oh, there's a... That's that one.
Do your best pew-pew sound for me. There you go. Pew-pew from deep. Alive is gone. And you mentioned earlier on, one of the big fraggers is down and out. And that's the one they were looking to keep alive for so much of this. Now that he's off the field, Ash is gone. A lot of that attacking threat is removed from Supremacy.
That is going to be soft breach. And on a bomb site, which does have a lot of soft destruction walls, and there is a lot of ways you can kind of use that Ash launcher in terms of getting rid of barbed wire or goo mines. It's very excellent in terms of rushing in and a very big open bomb site. I've seen Ash mains run straight through construction doorway into bedroom, pick up 3 kills just because the aggression to get rid of any harassment you can get from any of the gadgets of the defenders. It works so well. However, all of that has came crashing down for the players of Supremacy as they have just lost another 2 members for themselves, and it's down to the 2 hard breachers. K6 and Poseidon now have to do what PACT did last round and try and clutch up a 2 versus 4. A minute 20 to go. There's still time, still plenty of time. You have options here. They can either try and play the windows, look for a pick to give them something to leech off to, or else they change up their playstyle and try and attempt to go through the cache, which I think may be the option for themselves. However, they will come in contact with a lone defender. Goo mines, I'm sure, will also be scattered around this area to try and hold them back as long as they can, as K6 and Poseidon will start to work together and start creeping up that eastern staircase.
I think you're absolutely right. If you keep on sticking on that window and you've just lost 3 of your operators trying to push through it, it's a good time to be backing away. But look at this, 2 stacked up inside Cash here as well. Poseidon and K6, I don't think are fully aware of what they're about to walk into here as well. Trying to go for the trick, not quite landing, but do finally get it off. Poseidon finds 1, which is at least is something for them. Darius, the big 4K from last round, is gone. Now I got to look for that 1 more. They find him as well. So actually, those 2 roamers doing very little for them initially. And now we go into a 2 versus 2 with just 30 seconds left on the clock. It's definitely ticking down. The pressure's on for Supremacy, and I'm pretty sure they don't want to start this map off 0-2 down.
K6 on those windows that we seen him play last time, trying to give cover to Poseidon. In this option for Supremacy, they have to try and go for that default plant right beside the bomb. Poseidon will get cooked out from those toxic babes, and well, an easy cleanup from the smoke. That's what you expect from that clutch god in that scenario. And well, Supremacy, they lose the 2v4 and PACT an early lead at 2-0 on Clubhouse.
A nice solid start though. PACT now painting themselves in the corner. We've all kind of put them down as that, the homeless dog that's kind of left outside in the rain and no one is really given much credit to. Suddenly turns out they've got pretty sharp teeth and they are biting back against Supremacy when they're coming in for these attacks. Both rounds finding alive pretty early on as well. As you said back in the prep demo, is all about removing that top fragging capability and leaving the rest of the team to do work. Now, Poseidon and K6 did work there. They did find themselves a couple of kills onto those roamers who were waiting for them, but just couldn't quite capitalize towards the end when they came up against the Smoke God in Hour. Let's see if they can keep on turning this on though now into the third defensive round. I think even in PACT shoes, if you said we'd come out of the half with 3 rounds, half 3 for attack, 3 for defense, they'd feel pretty happy about that. If they keep on this current form, though, they'll go all the way potentially. But of course, now they've defended both of those sites upstairs, it means we have to go back down to the old faithful downstairs on Clubhouse. Expect to see a lot of play around those hatches, I imagine, from Supremacy. But let's see how much PACT can upset them with a couple of early kills.
Talk about trying to have that easy, split. Typically for a map like Clubhouse on defense, you would kind of expect a 4-2 in favor of the defense. But over the past kind of weeks of watching Clubhouse inside a Challenger League, I have seen more attacking wins, quite surprisingly, on a map like Clubhouse. I know that I cast a match where 70% of the round wins was in favor of attackers. That's not a common thing, well, never used to be anyway. But is this really something that we may start to see a bit of a meta shift where attackers have a lot to play for? And whenever there is operators like Nomad being introduced, who we know have immense power and that prowess in shutting down a lot of those rotations, which is the only real way we see defense really start to win Clubhouses with crazy rotations. Those Nomad just completely put those roamers to bed.
My top criticism of stats like that will always be that in the context of that game, yes, a lot of rounds are won by the attackers, but it also kind of boils down to, well, situational at the time. I guess meta, like you say, weighs into it as well. What teams are playing what. There is just a chance that that can skew things based on context. But, like you say, who knows? Maybe the Nomad does bring a lot to it, to be fair. You know that it makes rotations almost impossible because you dare run out somewhere. Well, good luck. You're not down CC for about 2 seconds. Chances are someone will be there waiting with a gun pointed at your head, and you will not be too long for this world. Now, Alive trying once again to threaten down inside blue. Knows someone's there. He's wasted all his utility trying to get down it as well, but hasn't managed to square anyone out just yet, and he is fresh out of nades. Now the question is, does he go for the drop or does he rotate away? In this case, it's more of a let's hold the angle and pray that he peeks and goes a bit too soon.
Love to see some kind of nade operator, possibly a sledge or a buck, who, yes, still has its advantages, even though this particular A bomb site and even the blue, there's no destructibility you can really utilize. But the fact that you can have buck or sledge completely nullify anyone playing inside kitchen just opens up the potential for a triple wall push even more so. It really has become more of the favorite. I remember back in the meta where it was literally kitchen drop and construction was the only thing you could go for. But these triple wall pushes have been a lot more common for a lot of teams. And whenever you have that accessibility to deny anyone playing in the back of armor, and like we know a C4 could get tossed out and kill anybody in triple wall from that angle, it's something that you'd like to see from teams if you want to try and go for triple wall. But they're not going to do that. They're going to put themselves at quite a risk in this scenario. Live will already drop into Memorial and try and get things opened up. A couple of tags come in, and no one's in blue. And K6 and Tactics, they get things kicked off, as that'll be a 2 versus 5 now, down to Ore and down to Optic. Just down to Optic, as that smoke will be a very short-lived smoke at it. And well, the diffuser will have to go down. Optic will have to try and retake a 1 versus 5. Don't really see this going anywhere else. Another thing to keep an eye on, he has 3 goo mines stacked up. Why are those not deployed?
Good question. Why he's set in the back of point? He's probably got them down in the spaces that he's already looking towards, or I was hoping for it. But Alive with the right smart call there as well. Back when he's pushing inside blue, utilities all out the way. Not really much scope there to go and be a hero with the drop in trying to 3k people. Doesn't always work like that, so it does make the smart call, like you say, to rotate round to Memorial and go for a push from there. Supremacy, what I really liked in that round was there was no kind of crazy rushing towards Lounge itself, trying to get the IQ in place to take out gadgets. It was just a very nice, slow, gentle push, not going for any crazy plays, and just waiting for the right opportunity to strike. And it was more of what we're used to seeing from them against a team like PACT, just picking off 1 or 2 targets who were in isolation, not getting traded out, and winning the round off the sheer number of advantages alone.
So Supremacy have found a way to crack the defense of PACT, but can they crack the other two bomb sites, which they have not won yet, as we will head to one of those, and it's going to be going back to that cache. I still would love to see the Barnstock. I say this so many times, Dennis, but I
No
just
one
want to
likes
see
it.
one. I honestly, it has so much potential, because I always come back to it. The main issue with Barnstock on the old clubhouse was the fact that there's no way to hold inside a cache room. Now there is. That's the thing that gets me. Now there's a way to actually stop that destructibility come in, which made that Montagna smoke plant at the doorway become, as such a difficult attack to really break down. It makes that viable. I just want to see a team just crack it once. Just try it once.
I
That's
think
all I
we're in a
want to
spot
see.
still. I mean, to be fair, it's been a while now since the changes came through. It's been,
Like
over,
6 months nearly.
yeah, I
Even
was
more
just
than
over
that.
half a year we're down to pretty much at this stage where, previously the upper floors were basically unplayable. Everything was rotating around downstairs and you only really went upstairs if you absolutely had to. And although we are seeing a meta kind of form in terms of the way to attack these points themselves, I think with things like gym and bedroom especially, there's still quite a lot of scope for that to be played quite
Yeah,
differently. A
agreed.
lot of window play comes through, so there's a lot of scope up there. Cache and CCTV nowadays is probably the most prominent go-to point. Outside of that, though, I agree. I would like to see some more kind of, as I say, middle floor play, if anything else, as well, just to mix things up a bit, to spice it up. Because it's always fun when we do see more than different points come into the meta. But for now, I think teams are very happy with playing upstairs because they're very used to it, at least playing on CCTV and cache, and it's more of an added bonus to be able to play on gym and bedroom as well.
Supremacy still not opting for that Maverick. Instead, they will try and do it with that Ash from below. They have successfully opened up the wall as Optic has had to come back. Oh well, alive, doing his best Michael Jackson impression. Should we do some? Can we get copyright if we start singing some Michael Jackson? Is that a thing? Or is that good?
Absolutely not, our producer screams. So,
That's
no, we
good.
shall not. Now, unfortunately for Alive, there isn't going to be taking part in this round for much longer. So, already finding themselves into a 5 versus 3, PACT in a pretty good position. More a case now what they can do with the utilities they've got. Thankfully, they still have both of their hard breaches. They have the utility play they can go for. Doku being down, you probably wouldn't want to catch hold of that one for a bit later on into the round, although you won't cry too much over spilt milk in this case. It's just a case of seeing what they can actually do with it, but I'm convinced that the answer is not an awful lot, because this is the site that PACT had a fantastic defense on back in the first round. Supremacy barely got a lucky, but we did see a 4K coming out of the Legion.
Another thing I love to see for PACT is that they have deep on that dock roll. Going back to that end versus PACT matchup where PACT did lose 7-5, Deep was on a tear with that dock. He was getting free Ks left, right, and center on these defense, and I love the fact that he's going to be playing the operator again because he plays it so aggressively, and a dock, he's a heavy, he is a very slow, movable character, but whenever you start having that aggression with him, he has an ACOG, has the MP5, no recoil, can really gun anyone, can even stim himself up to more juice to take more 1v1 gunfights. I love the kit he has as that kind of off-site aggressive roamer. But we don't even get to see that as Optic has done the business, find 2 kills for his troubles, and well, we will have Supremacy lose yet again. Another attack.
It was a little bit tainted there by the disconnect that came out of Alive, so it will make things a bit tougher for them. But again, coming into this, if you were Pat and you said, guys, you can come, if I offered you right now the chance to come into the halftime at 3-3, would you take it? 100% they would turn around and say again, Supremacy, yeah, sure. They're already at 3-1, and there's still 2 more rounds to play on the defensive side here. We saw them win the first round, saw them win the second round. We are going back to gym and bedroom again, which was a victory for them previously. This could be another very dominant round for them, and they then go into the half potentially at 4-1, if not 5-1.
If they get 5-1, we could honestly be on the verge of a PACT win. But I say this, I've seen that before. I go back to End. I go back to End versus Supremacy. End were up 5-1 going into that defensive half. Then Supremacy pull it back and they draw 6-6.
It can happen.
Supremacy
Crazy
are a
things
defender-sided team.
Well, let's hope for their sake, at the very least, when it comes around to their defensive half, they can turn things around, because so far it's been a very much so packed show. And the worrying thing is, it's not even just the case where it's coming round to them playing defensive angles, anchoring and getting kills from that. You saw there in that case, they managed to push aggressively onto one of the attackers, bring them down, and the same thing came through where we saw Darius go for the peek onto the Hibana and still find the kill. So they are just straight up winning gunfights in any scenario. It's not a case of they're finding it because it's a defensive favored thing. They're just generally winning against fights that potentially, well, realistically even, Supremacy should be winning based on their previous results.
Overall for Supremacy, they've had a bit of an up and down time inside the Challenge League. They've had good results, they've had bad results. Overall, I think it kind of comes down to some of their attacks. Their attacks have looked very sloppy, just overall in terms of the league. Their defense, however, have been extremely strong, but the more they get put up against the wall, it's going to be a lot tougher. If Supremacy come out of this half with a 4-2 down, I think they could pull it back and potentially win the match because I know how strong their defensive are, and on a map like Clubhouse, where it suits their playstyle quite well, then we start to see things work for Supremacy. They will go for this window play again. This is kind of what got Alive killed last time, trying to go for this aggressive play, but it will work out in favor of the French. Optic goes down, that's the bandit gone, and that means the wall can get opened up with no problem at all. Nathan finds Tactus. I believe that was Tactus trying to play as that lone sledge. Does lose that gunfight, however, the refrag is there from DJs, and that does put Supremacy up in a good spot as they take the early lead 4-3.
Everything being opened up around them is now both of those arm panels down. We've got this western wall open too. So for PACT, they're going to be stretched a bit here. Already down 2 members, coming up against 4 as well. We are seeing that Maverick being deployed as well. One of the few times that we've actually seen it. Again, when we saw the Thatcher ban coming through, we assumed, hey, we'll see a lot of Maverick on this map. And so far, I've seen very little. But in this case, it's paying off. They do have their way in. They know exactly where the smoke is playing as well. And he's pinned. If he tries to lead this route, no matter which side he goes out of, he's going to have someone watching the angle. He's pretty much stuck here now. Just going to have to wait for the clock to run down and potentially make use of those smoke canisters to try and stall out some time.
It is a very strong position for a smoke, you have to admit. He has a shotgun, can easily peek and kill anyone trying to push in towards the corridor, but it comes down to how Supremacy use their utility. I'm curious if DG still has any utility at all with that Sophia launcher. However, we're seeing K6 completely slip past the smoke as he will be inside of that main corridor beside the stairs. The smoke still stuck inside of bathroom, doesn't flinch at all, goes for a smoke canister, sees one outside the balcony. However, K6 has already ripped apart the final member inside of a bomb site. Picks up 2 for himself. Massive plays from the Maverick. Sloppy from PACT. And well, Darius will have to go inside of a 1 versus 4.
Well, he's the one guy you'd want to do it after his 4K back in the first round, but this is definitely a Supremacy that's at least starting to wake up. The first couple of rounds definitely not going to plan. But they're in a spot now where Darius is down onto sub 10 HP. One shot his way is going to be all it's going to take. They can even go for a wall bang here if they were really that desperate. But I guess the real question is, why bother? The diffuser is down, halfway down on the timer. It's a lot of work for Darius to be doing on his own, pretty much. And I think we all know full well exactly how this round is going to end up. And you said it yourself, a little bit sloppy towards the end there from PACT from what looked like a relatively solid start. Just getting themselves peeked through those windows, losing out to Alive. And Alive, got to give it to him as well. Died out quite a lot early in those first few rounds, but in the last couple of rounds has definitely started stepping up and not finding himself getting picked off. As long as you get rid of that disconnect that he had, of course, in the previous round.
Well, that's an easy lockout for Supremacy. They've got their 2 rounds, which I believe they need to actually win this matchup. But they still could get another one. They could go into the split with 3 rounds apiece. And then you're certainly looking at favoring Supremacy in its entirety. Move into the last defense for PACT, and they will be headed down to the church. So they've went full rotation and went Cash, Gym, Church, and then they're going Cash, Gym, and Church. Overall, I think it's been a very strong half for PACT anyway. Their first 2 rounds, I think, is something that they can be proud of. A 2v4 and a very easy lockout round inside of that gym. Good work from overall in terms of how PACT have really played, but can they keep it moving on the attack? However, they will have to go for their last defense. If they take it, I still think Supremacy have that full advantage, but maybe PACT have done something new with their attacks. Maybe they've changed some players around in terms of the operators they play. Maybe they've got some new tactics, perhaps. There is still operators on the board that you worry if you're a defender. There's Ying, there's Glaz, there's even Shields that's still in play, there's Dokkaebi. A lot of scary operators there that you do not want to play against.
It is, but it's a case of, I mean, the Maestro being brought out is an interesting one to see too, but it's how they can make it work. Because for me, looking at... Chat made me laugh. Can't help it. The way it's going to work out this time round was Supremacy were a lot slower when it came to attacking this point, more so than they were when it came to attacking the other sites. They're a bit more patient about things, didn't go for the big push in. They were just more than happy to sit back and just say, right, let's wait and see what happens, what movements come through, and find out where we can go for. And Alive got into Memorial unpunished the whole time. There was no one there to be waiting upstairs on the roam. We were no one looking actually towards Memorial itself when he got in there. There's just a lot of agency and freedom given to them. So I'd like to see PACT spread their defense out a little bit more, keep an eye on more angles, and just don't allow them to have these free drops that they should not be getting away with at this stage into the round.
Just really glad that we done it, guys.
We did it, boys.
We've done the unthinkable. Who would have thought? But we've done it. Everybody, well done. And we'll see if we can get him the other account that he goes onto.
No doubt they'll find him. They will trace him down.
We'll get him.
He will not live for long. God bless.
Talking about not living for long, Alive isn't doing much of that. However, Darius doesn't even live for that longer as he gets eliminated by Tactus. So early kills come in, and Ash for a Jaeger, with damage done to a Dokkaebi. I think that's a good trade in terms of the utility being traded. Jaeger's already placed down his ADSs. That utility's already been done on the bomb site. Alive didn't really get to use his yet.
It's a rough one. They still have this Vigil playing out towards the side as well. So they have to be wary of him, and when he can potentially come for flanks, they need to be wary of that. Otherwise, well, you might find yourself getting into a spot like he's looking towards now, where he's playing his side strip. He's been droned out to all hell, though, but of course, it's a Vigil. It's not quite that easy.
We'll start to move in and could potentially go for a quick run out. Try it with the impact, and well, he gets it. Massive plays from deep. K6 didn't even hear that coming, just like we didn't even hear it coming in the stream. But however, that does alert the rest of the players from Supremacy to his position. Deep now, he's doing a great place here. Sure, he's nowhere to go. Does find Poseidon as well. Wow, a massive room game from Deep. It's paid off massively for the Vigil. He's trapped himself in an area that you cannot escape from inside a strip club. Eventually does get finished off, but he's took out 2 players, both hard breachers, and he's also wasted 2 minutes off the time. MVP of the round has to go to Deep.
Well, you might try. This is the kind of case where you turn around and say that as a roamer, you're making massive value. Normally, the aim is waste time, live, get back to point in the late round. If you're going to die and you're bringing down 2 people, you will say that is worth it every single day, especially like you say when the utility that gets removed is the key factor, because now you're shoehorning the Dokkaebi and the Zofia into trying to push through a lot of hard walls. They can't get through them, of course, so all you have to do is hold those angles where you know full well they're going to push. It makes them very predictable, and now they know where both of them are. It's just a case of watching Memorial, smoking it out like we're seeing here. He can just keep on wasting time here all day long. They have one more logic bomb to go, but I don't think at this stage it's going to be enough for them to be able to clinch this round out. This is going to be a fantastic end to the half coming through for PACT. They end the half 4-2 and have a very successful defense and give Supremacy something to worry about.
Give credit to the players of PACT. Massive stuff from the Vigil. That is what we call a room. That is the pinnacle. You get kills, you waste utility, and you waste time. On a map like Clubhouse, where time is everything, then hey, that just even putting more salt in the wounds. So do we have the switch, as we will have Supremacy on their defense, and this is where I really expect them to come into their own lane. They're starting to really pull it in. I think for PACT, this is where they need to keep their composure. They need to check it off by the book. They need to tick things off step by step. That's the way you do Clubhouse. Step 1, clear out any rumors you have. There is sometimes a little bit of presence, possibly in towards that gym and bedroom side. But overall, I think for the church, it's usually Anchor with a little bit of aggression added in there for the staircases. Once PACT have cleared out all the rumors, then they move on. They've brought the buck, which I love to see. They can clear out anybody inside of that armory. And they've also brought double hard breach. So not only can they open up all hatches, but they can also go for the triple. Oh yeah, the Maverick as well. But Maverick's kind of a bit of a glorified Thatcher in my eyes. That's why I look at him.
I guess you could put him that way, but it's more the case of the threats that he potentially brings there. Of course, the silence to it, getting those holes open is a big one.
That's true.
I'm looking towards this castle potentially is the most interesting pick we're seeing here, because it's definitely not the most common thing that we see. That screams to me, we want to go for an extended hold elsewhere and be looking for something a bit deeper. And as you've just saw, on that main double doorway looking in towards bar, he's got that reinforced up. Curious to know where else he's looking to put this down though as well, because this is a very potentially aggressive defensive hold. But like you said yourself, Supremacy are a very strong defensive team. Maybe they want to go for this more extended style where actually they are pushing things out a little bit and not giving any scope for PACT to execute the strategy they're looking towards.
Okay, this is a very unusual tactic. It's not the first time we've seen this. We have seen teams bring a castle and try and hold in towards that bar. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work, so that's why we don't see it happen. But because it is not meta, it could catch Supremacy, or not Supremacy, catch PACT by surprise. So basically what they're trying to do is limit the utility that PACT have for that latter half. They're going to have to use utility to attack an extended hold. That's what extended holds are about. Wasting time, getting frags, and wasting utility for your anchors. However, Looks to be that PACT don't even care about that hole, but they're looking to try and play towards that blue and towards that kitchen. They have no interest in going towards bar. They have eliminated that one castle, but castle has got a frag fort, so they have managed to get a trade-off for the most part. But overall, I think PACT are a little bit unsure of where they want to go to. Supremacy, they have good intel. They've brought the Valkyrie for that reason, so if they do see a split push coming in from PACT, they will know what to expect. And as we can see, the tag come in. PACT, they have now been caught out on where they're trying to push in from. They're going up against K6 and Alive, two very strong fraggers. And while the other two members of PACT, they still have roamers upstairs in kitchen to deal with.
It's the hard part because we've seen teams get punished for this where they do go for a big push and find themselves getting punished by those that are still lurking around upstairs, and all it takes is the call from the team of, yes, they've gone for the push, they've committed, go for the flank and try and find those kills. Things have slowed down a lot now because you can see a lot of the members from Supremacy just holding angles, looking in towards blue to make it really hard for them to make, well, anything happen realistically. Legion's still Poseidon that is holding around upstairs, like not even on the middle floor. He's all the way upstairs trying to find who's potentially lurking around this area. I think you're looking towards the wrong area, to be honest with you, buddy. Most of them are already downstairs and looking for it. But Alive's going to find one onto Optic, which will shut down the first attackers through blue. And well, the Hibana's coming exactly the same way. Now, the question is, have Supremacy got the mind to keep hold of this angle? Or if they're going to start looking elsewhere, expecting that he is the last man pushing down blue?
Overall, for Supremacy, they have played this to a T. They have done everything that PACT have tried to do and countered that exceptionally. And even the fact that we've seen these extended late rotates as well coming in from Poseidon, you have to give credit to it. Poseidon does the damage, stops the area. However, somehow the diffuser has been planted. So it will come down to the players of PACT trying to hold it inside of Armory, but they have 3 players breathing down their neck. K6, what are you doing? Poseidon, what are you doing? Tactus, what are you doing?
Oh my word.
Out of nowhere. Wow.
I thought after he whiffed that first shot in towards tunnel, I thought, okay, well, he's clearly not on his game right now. The reaction's a bit slower, not quite finding the kills that he should be, not clicking on heads. Then he does that and rolls out with 3 of them to secure the round. We're now at 5-2. Demo, you said yourself, if we ended that first half at 5-1, you would potentially favour PACT to be the ones taking this away. We're at 5-2, so give or take a round. It's still showing that PACT can play well on the attack here, because for Supremacy, that was such a solid start to the defense. Then you have someone come out and find room like that on the point, get the plant down, and then find a 3K? How many clutches do these guys want in one game?
At that stage, the way that... Let me just talk about that round entirely. Supremacy went for that extended hold. Sure, it's not the most common thing. It sometimes worked. It actually did work that time. They got kills. They forced the players of PACT to approach it differently than how they would. They had no access to that bar at all because they were still scared of any lurking rumors. Poseidon, you seen he did his job. He went for that extended rotate, got a kill from it. The only 2 other players alive were both inside of Armory because the only option they had was outside kitchen. We've seen those 2 players stay outside of kitchen for so long. At that stage, Supremacy know exactly where the 2 members of PACT are. All they should do is just squeeze it in until they bleed. That should be how that's done. But they just ran at them. I don't know what K6 was doing. The diffuser was planted. You should have waited for Poseidon to be in position. That box area, it's a real 50-50 chance in which way you peek. Poseidon could have easily dominated that round. He could have peeked around, killed Buck. Firmat left on 1v3. He gets peeked all at the same time. He loses that. That's how the round should have went out. But for some reason, the communication was not there from Supremacy. And look, even DJ's going for a spawn kill at this stage in the game, whenever you're 5-2 down. Sure, I like the ambitiousness of it, but you're in a really rough spot at this time. Whenever this bomb site did not work for you previously,
if I had to describe PACT in one word so far this game, I would say volatile. That's pretty much going to explain how their play has been, because in some rounds, when it's looked like Vitality was down to win, that 4v1 in the first round, that round just then getting those final 3 kills, Vitality have played it by the book up until that point. They played excellently, they held down angles, they denied the blue push. Everything that was going their way should have ended with that round going towards them. But the fact that they let them slip inside and get that down was a huge punisher. And Deep, rightly so, going to have to back away very, very quickly here. Has those frag grenades on side still, but has a sticky little needle in his foot that's got to get removed out the way first. But now can look towards threatening yet another angle. Knows this one up here with him as well, so he's got to be careful of that peek coming out of that room. One's laid down behind the desk. Grenade in there might just be all that he needs to do. But right now, no one being found out on either side. Just a case of when it comes through. All about that roam clear early on. Guys, do remember that we are indeed attacking downstairs this round, not the upstairs.
So well done the PACT. They have analyzed its exact same push or defense that Supremacy have went for, and they have went for a completely different attack. They have took from upstairs to downstairs. They went for the complete sweep, and well, it has gave them their just rewards. They got 1 kill from the spawn kill, and well, Poseidon tried that roam game and got absolutely obliterated, as the good presence from PACT in terms of their drone work and their combination with some nades has worked to charm. Now, this is a big mistake from Supremacy. Alive does get 1 kill from Optic, but what I want to focus on is that they have left that run-in armory wall soft. Buck has just opened that up. We could see, literally, Aurier just run straight down the main stairs and walk in the bomb site. This is not strong from Supremacy whatsoever, because they have used their other reinforcements upstairs for their offsite hold, which came crashing down. Tactus found 1, however, Nathan's there with a refrag, and that's down to Alive inside of a 1 versus 3, make it into a 1 versus 2. And if there's anyone going to be able to clutch it, it will be this Jaeger. The fuse will come in deep. Is in a great position. The wall has been opened up. And well, Alive will have to try and swing on around and go for the frags. We know that there's still going to be Habana lurking underneath the table. Alive has a suspicion, but the shots do not land. Will he be looking to go in towards that triple wall? Shots rattle back and forth. They know his presence. Alive will find Habana. It goes into a 1 versus 1. As Jaeger will have to eliminate the Canadian operator. Shots still rattle in. Deep playing it well. Tries to back away. Alive trying to bait out with the defuse. But still the Buck playing it so well. Pistol comes in. And well, the C8 swings on round with that high rate of fire. Enough bullets to put Alive in the dirt. And PACT have finally done it. They have took at least a point inside of the EU Challenger League.
Time for the crab meme, boys. We did it, boys. We got at least 1 point. That means that they won't be sat at the ocean floor bed there on 0 points. They will have at least 1, like you say, so fair play for that. The question now is, can they turn it into all 3? Can they go on and take the full deal against Supremacy? And based on how those last 2 rounds have gone, it's looking incredibly likely right now. Supremacy not looking like the normal selves. Defensively, normally a pretty solid team, as you said, Demo. Today, I don't know. It's fell apart, especially on those downstairs points. Twice now we've seen them go for it. They are going to change things up for potentially this third and final defensive round, going back up to CCTV and Cash and trying to abandon that downstairs. Again, following the kind of the tried and tested formula, I suppose you could say, that most teams go for. You lose a point twice, you move away, you try something else.
And also looking at PACT, they have decided to play to their advantages. They've brought the Maverick. Thank God they've brought the Maverick, because we know this is going to be such an easy play for PACT to open up the wall. No questions asked. This is where I think PACT will really excel in having that Maverick. I think that looking at the kind of way Nathan has kind of brought himself on with that Maverick, he's played very well. We've seen him get the frags whenever it's needed to come in. But for Supremacy, looking at their operator lineup, it's pretty standard for the most part. I'm surprised that they're not kind of bringing the dock, because it looks to be that they may try and hold that top of catwalk. There's one operator who does that job better than any other, and that's going to be the dock. He has the ACOG and challenges the doorway at long angles. Also, the most important thing is, if he gets down by a frag grenade, he can revive himself back up. That's the big thing about Doc, is that even if you do manage to get a down onto him, doesn't matter. He has that gadget to bring himself right back up to 75 HP and continue on doing what he does best.
It's all about this old, well, not really old strat now. It's quite a new one when you think about it, but a lot of teams have been employing this recently, where you can get this whole wall open. Of course, the threat comes through where you potentially get caught out and you're trying to do the top one, but most teams have got the knack for it now, where you can just open the whole thing up. Some teams use smokes just to try and cover this one out, but in this case, not going to be required. Just making sure they've 100% got this open for the most part. He's actually going to try and use it instead for more of a bit of a peek hole by the looks of it. Not too bothered about trying to get it open itself. They just want to have the angle in so they can use this as a high point. I'm not sure I'm too sold on this one. I think maybe they're going to try and make use of the thermite to try and come through and open this one up. You've just given so much leg room, though, quite literally, for the defenders to be able to shoot you out.
They could have also went for that Maverick. They could have went for the top. Sure, they also could have eliminated those reinforcements entirely. Quite a sneaky trick, quite hard to perfect, but that's also another option. However, they got rid of the Bandit charge. Bandit's not going to try and challenge that. No issues. However, Optic still lurking below. I think he's there just more in terms of fearing that Valkyrie. They've seen that Poseidon has chosen Valkyrie a lot, so having that C4 potential from below, another common thing on this particular bomb site, is we see Pulse being chosen and Valkyrie, simply because the threat the C4, a team like M&M, they do this a lot of times in terms of playing Citizen below with a Nitro-style operator. We've seen the default plant go down very early on thanks to a Nitro Cell, and whenever it's a map like Clubhouse, where there is a lot of setup, there's a lot of time that we see the attackers take to get things going. A perfect example is Team Vitality. They are the slowest paced team in the league. We see them do things to a T. They have that checklist. They will not go unless everything is perfect. And for PACT, well, they have lost their buck. They've lost a fragging operator, and they haven't took control of Catwalk, which is a bit surprising for me. You've done the hard job. You've opened up the wall, and then you're not taking Catwalk. Because sure, you've opened up the wall. As long as someone's Catwalk, you cannot go for a plant.
Makes it really tough as well when you've got your Maverick running around on literally about 2 HP. One shot coming his way. Oh, almost in the perfect spot there as well, but sadly, halfway through the animation, will not have that gun at the ready. Now they're into a 5 versus 1. This round's pretty much done. It's one bullet to the head or even the body, and down he goes, alive, just making sure it was definitely a headshot, just to 100% confirm that kill, and probably Supremacy's most dominant round to date.
Yeah, that's easy from Supremacy. Overall, I think that we had a bit of a weird one from PACT. They looked out very strong, then it just kind of fell apart. What's your take on it, Des?
I think my take on it is that sound isn't so good right now, and we do apologize again, by the way, guys. That this is a ongoing problem. We'll try and get it fixed before the next game, but we will keep you updated as we go along.
Hey.
But yeah, it's the same thing me and you've been saying. Supremacy have been looking a bit shaky at points. By that last round when they pulled things together, outside of that, it hasn't been the strongest, almost solid, admittedly. I want to see more of what I saw in that last round, where they are finding those opening kills that just slow everything down. Because admittedly, it started off as PACT doing this, where they were the ones giving a lot of ground to Supremacy on the attack and kind of letting them do what they wanted to do. For example, the great one I remember is on the downstairs when we saw Alive rotate across from Blue all the way over to Memorial, get a free drop in, completely uncontested by anyone, and they were just free to execute and play any position they wanted to. In that last round, Supremacy pushed hard. They bit back against PACT, and that's what gave them the round. But they've still got a lot to do. It's still 3 more to go for a draw, 4 if they want to be able to take the home, to actually even look towards trying to take the map. In this case, they can't. 3 rounds on the back to get the draw, or for 1 round, we will actually see a win going over to the side of PACT, the first of the season.
Overall, for PACT, this is something they should be at least happy with. They still have all the potential to win this matchup. That's not saying
I think they will
they're
still.
going to throw this.
I don't think Supremacy will be able to keep the streak going. I think there will be a round where they will slip up, something will go wrong, and they will just crumble at the seams.
I have a feeling, just a bit of a hunch, if Supremacy take this defense, I feel they may take the draw.
Alright.
I'm in. My hot take.
I'm open on the gamble. I'm open for that.
No. But overall, I think that that Supremacy, they're very strong in their defense. We know this just in overall in terms of Challenger League. But on this particular map, and especially for this certain hold they're trying to go for with the castle, it seems as if they're trying to force this strategy whenever they really shouldn't do. Quite surprised for it.
Somewhat. I mean, that last round, they forced it. It went well. Probably forced more than we've seen them do so far. But again, this has been the running theme in most rounds they have lost, is that Alive is the first man to be lost. He's now gone. That Jaeger's off the board. The carbine is gone. Now you're relying on everyone else to be doing the work for you. So look him here, potentially Poseidon on that Legion to just cause absolute chaos for the attackers. But with 2 minutes remaining and already into a 5 versus 4, things are looking pretty bright for PACT.
So this time Supremacy, they have changed up their castle placement. Last time they tried to hold in towards barn and towards that office beside the bedroom. This time they're using castle barricades over towards that cache. This will mean that PACT have to use, basically, as if it's going to be a cache. They have to put all of their utility towards that side of the map and play it in as if they are trying to go for even potentially a gym and bedroom. This is what we kind of see from a gym and bedroom, as teams trying to hold cache. However, Supremacy get a little bit carried away from themselves as they start to pick and give away easy kills. That is going to be the castle gone, and it's also going to be Poseidon hitting the dust. So it's a 2 versus 4. Tactics in K6 now have to work as hard as they can to at least keep themselves in it and try and push for that draw. But overall, just the impending doom of this Polish roster is slowly starting to suffocate everyone from Supremacy. A freebie for Darius, and that will be a freebie as well for Deep. And while PACT, they have done what nobody thought they could. They've won a match.
Well, sometimes That's all you got to do is just dig deep. And we said at the very start, sometimes when you get this little poor dog backed into a corner, it can come back with a bite. And it took 2 months for it to really come together. It definitely took time, and it's been a very painful first few weeks for them. But they come out swinging, quite like the sledge on the screen as well, doing beautiful work there. Congratulations to PACT. They do bring down Supremacy. My biggest concern now, if you're on Supremacy, is that I'm thinking, well, how does this play out for those guys now? They've got to start looking towards what this means, implications in towards these final few weeks. Because as we said, there are a few teams sat on about 4 wins. There are 3 teams sat on 3 wins. And PACT might have just dealt the blow that could really come back to bite them in the next few weeks.
Overall, looking at some of the rounds that I think Supremacy played in their defense, especially for that Church, they played Church 3 times. They lost it 3 times. That's never a good sight. And it's because they went for this bomb site hold, this off-site hold with these castle barricades, that they kind of forcing themselves into. That's not the Supremacy I know. Supremacy like to play very fluid in terms of their rotations. I think Alive does great in the map like Clubhouse, where there is a lot of rotations being able to happen with the blue, with that oil pit where you can climb up the ladder. There's options there for Supremacy that we've seen them do time and time again, but in that scenario, they tried too hard. PACT, give credit to them, they did it by the book. They did what I wanted them to do, and that's check off everything individually. They went for the clear out the rumors. They cleared top to bottom, which was great from them. You know, going back to that first Church defense for Supremacy, they should have won that. PACT were very backed into the corner. They didn't know what to do. The second time PACT attacked it, give credit to them. They adapted. They went for the sweep from top to bottom. They did everything they needed to do. And as you can see, it was a complete sweep of a round for the players of PACT. And that really excels them into a new level of slow, methodical play. And that's what I love to see on a map like Clubhouse, which this is what the map suits those types of playstyles. That's why we see Team Vitality dominate so much in this particular map, because it is so slow. And I think if PACT get into their heads that that's how we should play it, we could see more from PACT in the coming weeks.
There's a mixed play style on that map from Supremacy, which is what bothered me the most. Is some rounds were very slow, some are very quick. There was no real consistency to the play. And I completely buy into sometimes you have got to mix up your play style. You have got to keep the other team guessing. The problem was in both play styles, jumping between the two, they were making quite a number of mistakes. The thing is now, they lost both games last week. They've just lost this one. You look at the rest of their fixtures towards the end of this season, they've got to come up against N later on, which I think at the start of the day, we all would have said, okay, this is 2 wins for Supremacy. They get themselves in good stead going in towards those final couple of weeks. They've got to face against N later after they've just lost against PACT. This could be a dangerous time if you're coming up against them. In future weeks, they're going to come against Vitality and Ghost Skiller next week. And then the final week, they've got Extreme and M&M. They've got 4 really, really hard fixtures after this week. So as said, this should have been the week when they got 2 wins. The fact that they've missed out on 1 and may yet miss out on the second, if they don't win later on, I would go as far as saying their season is done and they will not be able to get themselves into the top 4.
That is a bit of a bold statement for themselves. Yes, we know some of the matches that they still have. We talked about PACT was kind of seen as this, oh, it's a freebie win for anybody who plays them. PACT have completely changed the formula of how this league should work now, and it has put Supremacy in a very sticky situation. There's a lot of pressure on Supremacy, but that's where we can start to see the best from them. Whenever the pressure's on, that's where we can see the big player step up. That's where Alive could become that demon that we know he is. We're just waiting for that to be unleashed. Overall for Supremacy, a lot of things need to work on, especially for that offsite hold. Just scrap entirely. Don't try and be a team that you're not. Try and be a team that you're known for, and that is aggressive rumors. And that's what we love to see from Supremacy. You have a player like Alive. Use the tools you have available, and you'll be able to construct a mighty, mighty force going into these couple of weeks for Challenger League still left.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, thinking about the other match as well, for Ghost Skiller, who are playing in the other game right now against N Gaming, these teams are literally just swap in place, and we're going to see Ghost Skiller come up against PACT, and we're going to see Supremacy go up against End. So it's going to change things around, and I think the way it's being said was that we saw Ghost Skiller won 7-2. So they had a pretty dominant result. So maybe we'll find out. I think by the end of today, you will know if it was Supremacy dropping the ball or if it was PACT stepping up based on how the results of those next games go.
Yep, overall, I think that match will be a big decider for PACT. Honestly, if we see PACT win that match, there's still, it's crazy to say, but there's still potential of that team getting top 4, which shouldn't be a thing.
It was a rough one, needless to say. I mean, we can start talking about the next game now as well, because I think you're looking at that for PACT, like, fantastic win overall. Still got a lot of work to do if they want to try and blast their way in, but we said at the very start of the broadcast, there are still 6 games to go. There is still the opportunity to get into that top 4, but you need other teams to start dropping the ball. Well, hello, we've just seen Supremacy drop the ball a little bit. We'll see how the rest of it goes as well. But while we've got a little bit of time as well, it'd be good to understand at least a little bit as well what we're expecting in this next series. Demo, quick thoughts on M&M versus Vitality, which is our next fixture.
It's the rematch. It is the big showdown of the number 1 versus number 2. Last time, M&M, they did get beat. It was a very heavy loss for themselves. They feel as if there was mistakes which need to be stamped out. And I'm hoping to see that there has been changes in how they play, and especially if we potentially see a map like Border, which was the map that Vitality beat them on. I don't even want to predict how that one's going to go. But overall, I think Vitality is still going to be the favorites. They have that little bit of an edge. They're the first seeded team. They beat them last time, that whole dilemma. But in this league, anything can happen, just like we've seen. But that will be coming up very shortly. But until then, guys, we're going to throw to a quick break, and we'll be right back with our second match of this evening.